Good evening, children. Today I am going to start the chapter Quit India Movement. As you know that this chapter is very crucial part of yours. So chapter 7 I will be starting. In this we will be reading the main points of the causes of the failure of the CRIPPS mission, Japanese threat, Quit India resolution, and the significance of the movement. The main points which I will be teaching in this chapter is the Act of 1935, the CRIPPS mission of 1942, and the Quit India movement. These are the crucial parts. Now, firstly, let's have an introduction. Now, the introduction part is, I'm just telling you the things which have taken place earlier. The third roundtable conference, 3 roundtable conferences were held in London. The third roundtable conference set from 17th November to 24th December 1932. After this conference, the government drew up a set of proposals for the reform of the Indian government. The Government of India Act received the Royal Assent on 4th August 1935. The Act of 1935 provided for the creation of an All India Federation consisting of the 11 British provinces and such of the princely states as acceded to the Federation. Federal provisions of this Act were never put into operation. The most significant aspect of the Act was the provision for the provincial autonomy. Diarchy was swept aside to be replaced by a system of responsible government in the provinces. Now, after this, let's talk about the elections. As a result of the elections held in 1937, the Congress formed ministries in 6 provinces, namely Bihar, Odisha, the central provinces means Madhya Pradesh, Madras, Tamil Nadu, and Bombay. The province covered the present territories of Maharashtra and Gujarat. Later Congress ministries were formed in Assam and Northwest Frontier Province. That is, in short, we call that NWFP. In Bengal, a non-Congress coalition ministry under Fazl-ul-Haq was formed, and in Punjab, the Unionist Party took under Sir Sikandar Hayat Khan. In Sindh, the situation remained fluid because of the multiplicity of parties. Now, let's talk about the CRIPPS mission. Initially, I am going to start with the CRIPPS mission. Now, in this points, we will be studying the contents. The CRIPPS mission of 1942. The first point is, why did Sir Stafford Cripps came to India? That's my first point. The second point is, what was the CRIPPS proposals? And the third point is the rejection of the CRIPPS proposals. Now let's talk about, firstly I will introduce you what was the CRIPPS mission 1942. Okay, children, I have used the word provision. Provision government. Provision government means in that particular areas, different kind of governments were there. At the time, there was no central government. Shringarika, listen to my point carefully. At the time, we were having only the states. We were not having the central government. So, at that time, those areas were known by the name of provision ministry or the provisional government. Now, causes. Firstly, what do you mean by the CRIPPS mission? Now, with the Japanese army was rapidly moving towards India. The Japanese army was advancing towards India, and it became necessary. It became very necessary for the British government to break the political deadlock. The word to break the political deadlock means that the Britishers should vacate India. The point was that the Britishers should vacate India, and the causes were also there. Certain causes were there that why they should vacate India. The reason was that if the Britishers don't stay in India, if the Britishers are not in India, then only the Japanese can stop. Firstly, in short, so now it was very necessary for the British to break the political deadlock in India. At that time, the Prime Minister, Churchill, the Prime Minister of Britain, that was Churchill, he announced in March 1942, and he showed his eagerness to reach an agreement with the Indian leaders. He wanted to have an agreement with the Indian leaders. On that side, USA put pressure on Britain as well. Hence, Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of the British War Cabinet. Sir Stafford Cripps was a member of the British War Cabinet. He was sent to solve the Indian problems. This person, Sir Stafford Cripps, was sent to India for solving the Indian problem. And Sir Stafford Cripps arrived at Delhi in March 1942. Now the point is, what were the proposals which were made in this particular act? Or the point we can say, what were the proposals being given by the CRIPPS mission? Now let's talk about the main proposals. First point, after the war, India would be given the same status as the other dominions had. The word other dominions had means as the other nations were having. After the Second World War gets over, India would be getting the same kind of standard, the same dominion status what the other countries were having. Now the second point was, it was a proposal that immediately after the war, Constituent Assembly would be set up. Now what is the meaning of the word Constituent Assembly? Can anyone tell me the meaning of the word Constituent Assembly? Yes, any child? Constituent Assembly, what is the duty of that? Does any child tell me the meaning Constituent Assembly? Okay. The next point. The princely states would be free to choose whether to join the Indian Union or to stay out. Now the next point is, just one of you have asked me, so what is the meaning of the word diarchy? Now I should tell you diarchy. Diarchy means government by two independent authorities. Means at any place, if the government is being running under two different authorities, then it is known as diarchy. As in India, it was being looked after by the Queen Victoria also, as well as the officials, those who were appointed here. That was the problem, because at the same time two kind of governments were there, whereas the main nation India was not having the government, means the Indians were not in the government. Now the fourth point, the British government would accept the constitution so framed subject to the condition that any province or provinces which did not accept a new constitution could frame a constitution of their own. Now see the problem in this point. The problem of this point is that the British government themselves are saying that if any of the provinces, they don't like to be a part of the Indian constitution, means of the Constituent Assembly, they can make a separate constitution for themselves. Now see what is the meaning of that. It simply says that that nation, that particular state or that particular province can have their own separate constitution. And the word separate constitution means that that particular nation cannot be a part of India. If all, see in India the problem is that if all the nations, if all the states in India, they start making their own constitution, then what will happen? In India, we would be having different constitutions, and for one nation, one constitution should be only there. Now the next point, they singly or together would be accorded the same status as the Indian Union had. Now the next point, until the new constitution was framed, till the time the new constitution is ready, the government desired effective participation of Indian leaders in the Viceroy's Executive Council. Now they made one more proposal. Only the defense of India would remain under the control of British government. See, which is the most important power of any nation? That is the defense. And the Britishers are saying that the defense of India would remain under the control of the British government. Now the next point is, see the other point what he is saying. The provinces would be free to join the Indian Union. If they don't want to join, if they are not in a mood to join the Indian Federation, they would formulate their own constitution. Now the next point is, an undertaking would be negotiated between His Majesty's government and the Constituent Assembly. Means all the points at the time when the transfer of power will take place after the Second World War. A particular meeting would be there, negotiation would be there between His Majesty's government and the Constituent Assembly. Means in what manner the transfer of power will take place. Transfer of responsibilities means till the year 1947, all the powers were in the hands of the the British government. So now at the time that the Britishers will vacate India, they will have to do the transfer of responsibilities or the transfer of power. Provisions would also be made for the protection of the racial and religious minorities. This word means provisions would also be made if any nation, so many provinces were there, so many big areas were there. If any of the province it wants to stay out, means it don't want to join this group, then that area is totally free. That particular part, that province is totally free, and in whichever area it wants to go, whether to join India or some other, whether to join means any of the state or provinces, that is totally free for that state. There is no foundation for that state that where it should join. Now after this, the next point, during the critical years of the war, the power of the Viceroy would remain as hitherto, and he would be responsible for the defense of the country. In this, in my fifth point, I mentioned this, that the defense would be totally in the hands of the British government. Now, these were the proposals, the 5 points which I mentioned you. This is a kind of short note. If you remember this, then all your answers are going to be right. So, in short, if I say all these 5 proposals which were made by the CRIPPS, Sir Stafford Cripps, but do you think that any of the proposals made by Sir Stafford Cripps were appropriate? Yes, send your answer fast. Whether the proposals made by Sir Stafford Cripps were appropriate or not. And if they were not appropriate, then what were the causes for its disapproval? Send your answers fast. Send me the answer, children. You have to send me the reason also. Okay, good. Yes, children, you have sent me the answer. All the children are saying that this proposal was totally wrong, and Shringarika has sent the reason. It seems to be dividing the country. Thus, they were inappropriate. So that's why the points. Yes, Anushka's answer is maybe because indirectly the British was still dominant on Indians. Yes, correct answer. Now I tell you so many points I have made. Rejection of the CRIPPS proposal. The proposal seemed to satisfy both the Muslims. The proposal seemed to satisfy both the Muslim League and the Congress. Sir Stafford Cripps declared that the proposals meant absolute self-government for India. It provided a concession to the Muslim League and met the demands of the Congress. However, the proposals could divide India into a number of independent states. By the points which were being given by Sir Stafford Cripps, according to that, the proposals could divide into a number of independent states. Second point, the people of the princely states had not been given the right to elect their representatives to the proposed constitution making body. Their representatives were to be elected by the rulers. Second point, now let's move to the third point for this. Self-government or dominion status was yet very far away. Meanwhile, the Governor General was to continue with full power over matters. और जब तक, ये तो आगे की भविष्यवाणी थी, तब तक क्या था, जो गवर्नर जनरल था उसके पास सारी पावर्स उसी के हाथ में रहेंगी, जैसे कि डिफेंस। अच्छा, और उस समय क्या होता है कि जब लड़ाई का दौर चल रहा होता है, जब कहीं पर भी किसी भी देश में जब लड़ाई चल रही होती है दूसरे देश के साथ, तो उस समय डिफेंस के हाथ में सारी पावर्स जो होती हैं वो डिफेंस मिनिस्ट्री के हाथ में आ जाती है। मतलब ये कहेंगे कि उस समय का द एंटायर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और द होल ऑफ द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वाज इन द हैंड्स ऑफ द गवर्नर जनरल ओनली। even at the time, even then the Congress leaders could have joined the Viceroy's Executive Council, provided that they had an assurance that the Viceroy would act as a constitutional head. No such assurance was coming forth. So that's why the Indians, the Congress and the Muslim League and the other religions or caste, they killed the CRIPPS offer. The CRIPPS offer was totally, you can say totally, it was a failure for the Indians to accept it. Means whatever hopes they were having, that such kind of powers they can have, no such kind of options they were getting. Now, in some other points can also be there. This plan involved partitioning the country. This plan involved partitioning the country. Okay, on the other side, this Muslim League, जो Muslim League था, they also opposed the creation of a single union, एक देश. Why? Their proposals did not accept Pakistan specifically. कहीं पर यह मेंशन नहीं किया गया था क्रिप्स प्रपोजल्स में कि कोई नया देश पाकिस्तान बनेगा. सो मुस्लिम लीग ने इसका पूरा विरोध किया. They did not grant the right of self determination to Muslims. मुस्लिम्स के फेवर में कुछ भी नहीं था. कहीं पर यह नहीं मेंशन किया गया था क्रिप्स मिशन में कि मुस्लिम्स को ये फायदा होगा या मुस्लिम्स को these kind of problems, these kind of benefits the Muslims are going to have. The Sikh, the Anglo-Indians, the Indian Christians and labor leaders also opposed them because they did not provide sufficient safeguard for their interests. और जो दूसरी कास्ट थी, जैसे हमारे सिख हो गए, द इंडियन क्रिश्चियंस हैं, चाहे एंग्लो इंडियंस हैं, या जो हमारे लेबर्स थे, कहीं पर भी उनको ये पॉइंट नहीं दिया गया कि उन लोगों को कोई सेफ्टी या सिक्योरिटी मिलेगी उनके इंटरेस्ट से रिलेटेड. ऑन द अदर साइड, द पीपल ऑफ द प्रिंसली स्टेट्स, उनके पास भी कोई राइट्स नहीं था. जो प्रिंसली स्टेट्स के लोग थे, उनके पास कोई ऐसा राइट नहीं था कि वो अपने रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकिंग बॉडी में भेजे. जहां पे संविधान बन रहा था वहां पे उनका रिप्रेजेंटेटिव जा सके. उनका जो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स होंगे, उनका जो भी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बनेगा, वो जो राजा होगा वही सेलेक्ट करेगा. सो जो प्रिंसली स्टेट्स थे, दे वर ऑल्सो नॉट एबल टू जॉइन इट. दूसरी तरफ, द कांग्रेस वॉज अपोज्ड टू द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नॉन एसेशन ऑफ द प्रोविंसेस. जो कांग्रेस थी वो एकदम इसका विरोध कर रही थी. और महात्मा गांधी के शब्दों में, अकॉर्डिंग टू द वर्ड्स ऑफ महात्मा गांधी, ही सेड, Gandhiji described this CRIPPS mission as the PDC. The word PDC stands for post dated check. मतलब it simply means कि आप मुझे ये चीज दे दीजिए और मैं आपको 1 करोड़ का चेक दे रहा हूं, बट जो चेक की डेट है वो 5 साल बाद की है या 6 महीने बाद की है. So the Britishers' proposal was like this only, that we will be providing you after the Second World War. And as you know, children, the Second World War, when did the Second World War ended? Answer it fast. When did the Second World War ended? Send the answer fast. Just mention the year. Yes, Maheshwari, Anushka. Sahil Srivastava, Shringarika. Tell me the year when the Second World War ended. I am asking you, Second World War. Shringarika, pay attention, not the First World War, Second World War. Okay, children. So now let's talk about this point. As you know, that the Second World War was from the year 1939. It was from the year 1939 to 1945. The date was from 1st September 1939 to the year 1945. So now the problem of this was that the CRIPPS mission was signed in the year, it came to India in the year 1942, and they were saying that after the war ends, all these proposals would be accepted. But till now the dates were not clear. अभी तक ब्रिटिशर्स ने डेट की बात नहीं करी, कब करेंगे. अब वॉर 3 साल और चल सकता था, वॉर की कोई लिमिट नहीं होती टिल विच डेट इट विल सर्वाइव. सो द सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर वॉज फ्रॉम द ईयर 1939 to 1945. That was the time period. Now let's move to the other point. My other point is the Congress wanted that all subjects, including defense, should also be handed over to the Indians or to the national government. The Congress insisted on the immediate formation. और कांग्रेस की डिमांड थी कि जो तुरंत कोई नेशनल गवर्नमेंट बने और जिसकी सारी जिम्मेदारियां that should be in the hands of the Indian representatives. जो भारत के नेता हैं उनके हाथों में ये शक्ति अंग्रेज दे दे. But this was not accepted. लेकिन इसमें से ऐसा कोई भी पॉइंट एक्सेप्ट नहीं हुआ था. None of the points were being accepted. So now let's talk about the other point. The war situation. Now अब दूसरी दिक्कत क्या आ रही थी. एक तरफ जो जापान था, जापान was moving towards India. और इसका रास्ता क्या था. It was coming through असम. जो असम वाली बेल्ट हमारी, उस तरफ से जापान भारत की तरफ बढ़ रहा था. Now the problem of Japan was not India. The problem of Japan were the Britishers. ब्रिटिशर्स इंडिया पे रूल कर रहे थे, इसलिए जापान भारत की तरफ बढ़ रहा था कि वो ब्रिटिशर्स को यहाँ पे हरा सके और उनको हरा दे यहाँ से और ये एक कॉलोनी फ्री हो जाए. ब्रिटिशर्स को हराना जापानीज का टारगेट था. लेकिन दोनों कंडीशंस में, इन बोथ द कंडीशंस, द लॉस वाज ऑफ इंडिया ओनली. ब्रिटिशर्स अटैक, जापानीज अटैक करते हैं तो उसमें सोल्जर्स इंडियंस मरेंगे, प्रॉपर्टी इंडिया की वेस्ट होगी. दोनों कंडीशंस में द लॉस वाज ऑफ इंडिया ओनली. सो अब भारत की ड्यूटी चल रही थी उस समय. इट वाज a very big problem for the Indians that how they can stop the Japanese or how they can throw out the Britishers away from India. Now दूसरी तरफ वॉर की जो कंडीशन थी वो बदतर होती जा रही थी. The war situation was discouraging in 1942. The Japanese army had attacked Burma. जापानीज आर्मी जो थी उसने बर्मा पे अटैक कर दिया था. आज के टाइम हम उसे म्यांमार कहते हैं. एंड वॉज मार्चिंग टूवर्ड्स असम. और जापान की फौज जो थी वो असम की तरफ आगे बढ़ रही थी. गांधी जी सेड द प्रेजेंस ऑफ ब्रिटिश इन इंडिया इज एन इन्विटेशन. भारत में अगर अंग्रेज ऐसे ही रहे तो हम जापानीज फौज को यहाँ पे निमंत्रण दे रहे हैं. अगर अंग्रेज यहाँ पे रहेंगे तो हम जापानीज को निमंत्रण दे रहे हैं भारत में आने का. और अगर Britishers, if the Britishers vacate India, that is the only solution. The Indian leaders were anxious to save their country from the Japanese invasion, but their slavery was a hindrance. Indians की मजबूरी थी, वो चाहते थे हराना, लेकिन the Indians were the slaves at that time under the British government, so there was no option in the hands of the Indians. Gandhiji and other leaders were convinced that this situation called for complete independence from the British immediately. और उस समय का रीज़न ये था कि अब गांधी जी और बाकी सारे नेताओं को ये पॉइंट समझ में आ गया था कि at this moment of time only one solution is there. that we should get complete independence. अगर हमारे पास आज़ादी होगी तभी that is the only solution of this problem. Gandhiji said, India's safety and Britain's too lies in the orderly and timely British withdrawal from India. भारत की सुरक्षा, on one side the safety and security of India and the Britishers, is only in the fact that if the Britishers vacate India as early as possible, because the Japanese attack is going to harm both the Britishers as well as the Indians. That was the main point. Now, any problem in this, children? Any problem? Yes, children, if you are having any problem, kindly ask it to me. Now, I am having the question, nearly 7 to 8 questions I have prepared for today. Some of the questions may appear difficult to you, but there is no need to worry. I am having the answer of those questions. Now, one of the two questions I have kept difficult. Now, the question round starts. Who had given slogan of do or die during Quit India movement? That's an easy question. This question is an easy one. Only 2 children have given the answer. Where are the others? Good. 2 more are there. Two more candidates are there. I want their answers also. Sachan, Shaurya Sachan, give your answer. Okay, children, the correct answer for this question is Gandhi. Now, you can see the next question on your screen. The question is, who was the viceroy at the time of Quit India movement? Who was the viceroy at the time of Quit India movement? Lord Mountbatten, Lord Revell, Lord Wellington, or Lord Linlithgow? Think carefully and then answer this question. Okay. All the children have sent their answer. Anushka, Shungarika, Kritika. Where are the other people? Shaurya Sachan, I'm waiting for your answer. Okay, children. So the correct answer for this question is Lord Linlithgow. After this, Mountbatten came after this. माउंटबैटन की एंट्री इसके बाद हुई थी. Remember this point? Mountbatten came later on. Okay, now the next question. My third question is, which of the following freedom fighter who popularized the movement in Orissa and led the salt satyagrah in the coastal areas of Balasore, Cuttack and Puri district? This question is bit difficult. I made it from the book of another school. Can anyone tell me? Just think and then answer the question. Third option is N.C. Bardola. Okay, so now let's move to the answer of this question. The names are very confusing. The first name is Gopabandhu Chaudhary. Second option is Tarunaram Fukan. Third one is N.C. Bardolai. And the fourth one is Jadu Nandan Sharma. So the correct answer for this question is Gopal Bandhu Chaudhary. Gop Bandhu Chaudhary is the correct answer for this question. Now, let's move to the other question. Read this question very carefully. I have tried to type in Hindi also. See to the question. Question is, who among the following given the famous slogan, तुम मुझे खून दो मैं तुम्हें आज़ादी दूंगा. You give me blood, I will give you freedom. Okay, good children. This is the correct answer. Yes, Subhash Chandra Bose. Now children, one question. My next question is, I'm just typing you my next question. Send me the answer of this question. When did Lord Mountbatten assumed the office of Viceroy in India? Two questions I have mentioned. Just send me the answers fast. Okay. The first question was, when did Lord Mountbatten assume the office of Viceroy and Governor General? The answer for this question is 1947. Now the other question. My second question was, who was replaced by Lord Mountbatten? Send the answer for this question. Second question, who was replaced by Lord Mountbatten? Maheshwari, Anushka, Shaurya, Sachan, where is the answer? Okay, children. The answer for this question is uh, Lord Wavell was recalled to England and Lord Mountbatten was appointed the new Viceroy in the year 1947. So we will mention the answer Lord Wavell. Lord Wavell was replaced by Lord Mountbatten. Now the next question. My next question is, who was the first Sarbandhiyan of the Tamluk Jatiya Sarkar, helped in establishing a rebel national government in Tamluk subdivision of Midnapur? Okay, the answer. See the question. You would have heard in your books, you have studied about Midnapur. And the answer for this question is Satish Samant. Okay, now one easy question. And the easy question is this one. Who among the following headed the Quit India movement in Satara? Who among the following headed the Quit India movement? Nana Patil, Nana Sahib, Satish Samant and Katie Bhashyam. And the answer for this question is Nana Patil. Nana Patil was the leader who headed the Quit India movement in Satara. You would have read this name Satara in the first chapter, that was in the revolt of 1857, Satara, Jhansi, Nagpur, Audh. These are the places. So the correct answer is Nana Patil. Now the next question, easy question, answer it fast. Which of the following freedom fighter was taken as a prisoner of war by the Japanese and persuaded by a Japanese army official to work with the Japanese for India's freedom? Just pay attention, this is the important question. Okay, you're not sending me the answer. I'm telling you the answer of this question. Captain Mohan Singh. Captain Mohan Singh was the person who was taken as a prisoner of war by the Japanese and persuaded by a Japanese army officer to work with the Japan for India's freedom. No, the answer is Captain Mohan Singh. Okay children, for today this much only. Tomorrow in the next class I'll be doing it from the topic of Mountbatten Plan, who came to India in the year 1947, or I should say I'll be just concluding the chapter from the part of Quit India Resources or Quit India Resolution.